welcome. This is Shank Club NFL, and we are now live on Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, and on Twitch. As ever, great to have you on board. I am your humble host, Nick, and along with my other host, Pete, we welcome you to this show. We've got a lot to get to, a few announcements as well we got to do for tomorrow as well. But without further ado, Pete, how you doing? How's your week been? What you been up to?
Yeah, not much, mate. As usual, working 6 days a week, so not a lot of time to cram in football and football gossip and news. But also, we had a great game Monday showing that the Chiefs are still the team to beat in the NFL. I think we've got four, including me as well. Very happy supporters of our teams at the moment. We're all doing very well. Steelers, Chiefs, Niners. We're all in the hunt. We're all looking pretty good. Obviously, you boys have had the injuries and still are doing good. Scott's got to be happy with the Chiefs doing really well. Steelers, still a bit of a work in progress, but still 3-0. Extra week off this week. So it's going to be a pretty fun week, even though we're not going to get to see the Steelers this week.
Be thankful for small mercies, Pete, as we don't have to see the Steelers. That's all I can say.
Something, dickhead.
Right, let's get our guests on. You can see them on screen, obviously. We've got Jason returning as ever. Jason, how are you?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. How's everything going? It was a good week of football, actually, this week. Had a lot of fun going back and watching, a lot of teams. And yeah, just, Monday night was an impressive display of not only arm talent from Patrick Mahomes, but play calling. My goodness. Like, I don't understand, how you're going to be able to defend this team with their routes and what they're doing right now. Eric Bieniemy is just he's just on another level right now at this point. Like, give this man a head coaching job, please. Jets, if you're watching, fire Gase and sign Bieniemy, please. Like, wake up. It's over.
We will get on to the New York teams because I'm really interested, obviously, you being over that way to see what the media are saying about them, especially after Thursday night.
Woo!
Another returning guest, and I'm sure he's going to be gloating because he told me he was going to gloat. Scott, Kansas City Chiefs fan, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, Scott. Good to have you on the show again, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, so obviously, Jason just brought us some breaking news before we came to air about the latest from Tennessee. So, Jason, do you just want to repeat the tweets you've seen and what's going on at the moment?
So, Pete alluded to it. The Steelers and the Titans have to reschedule their game this week because there was an outbreak among the Titans. Luckily, it didn't jump on to any Vikings players. So the Vikings are fine. They're good to go. They've had no positive tests, anything like that. So they'll be fine this week. But wake up this morning and Adam Schefter is tweeting that there are 3 new positive tests with the Tennessee Titans. 1 player, 2 more team personnel. So they're not playing this week, but if it's been the 3rd straight day of positive tests. If these continue, then next week's game is in jeopardy. And honestly, I really don't know what this means. I guess I'm just being nervous and being afraid for, because, we haven't had any issues in the league like this. But right now, this is kind of scary right now, because if they don't get this under control, like this can snowball in a bad way. So, it's a scary situation. We just got to hope that they stomp this out and get this figured out by next week.
Yeah, definitely. And what we were just sort of saying again before we went on air, it's all very well it happening once. The Steelers been able to reschedule their game to week 7. But if all of a sudden now the Steelers have an outbreak, or Tennessee have another outbreak, or even the Ravens, because I think the Ravens have sort of changed their schedule as well. Mm-hmm. Where do we go? So, yeah, it's going to happen once. There's a little bit of shifting going on, but if it happens again, we're then really going to sort of work out what the NFL are going to be able to sort of do to recover from this, because as we said, doesn't sort of seem to be any sort of extra weeks that they've sort of planned to be able to sort of throw some extra games in if there were some sort of rescheduled. So it's going to be a bit of a logistical nightmare. I'm really hoping it doesn't cause chaos in the league, but I guess they've set a precedent now to reschedule this game rather than playing it, which I think to me is the wrong decision. I feel that if you come down with it, you're just going to have to field a team they're all in the same boat. Everyone started the season the same, but now the fact that they've actually rescheduled it and not played it, this is potentially sort of going to cause a bit of a jam up if it keeps happening. I don't know what you think on this one, Scott.
Yeah, I it's really tough because it's hard to treat it like an injury and just say those guys don't get to play because they're around the other guys and maybe they got it and had a false negative. So you bring another team in and now that person did have it and didn't necessarily test positive, or it's around the facility and it gets back to Pittsburgh and then Pittsburgh practices and they play somebody the next. And so, yeah, it's just a tough situation to be in. I think postponing was probably the right route to go. You've got bye weeks, you've got teams, and then there's no laws saying that the season has to end on a certain date and the playoffs have to. You could push it out. You could play games at the end of the year. You could push out the start of the postseason maybe a couple weeks. Maybe readjust the bye system for the top seeds. I know they're only going to have one team with a bye, but they could. There's lots of different things they could do. I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out, unless you just get something that is widespread and you have over half the teams with multiple players testing positive and coaches. I think they did a good job this go around, and we'll just have to see what happens.
Okay, good. What do you reckon, Nick?
I reckon people shouldn't walk in when I'm live on air and then talk to me when I've got my headphones on. I was listening. Yeah, it's a tough one because obviously they've got to protect the players, the staff, etc. And until the full sort of scenario comes out about how all of these people within one team got the virus, that's how then they can change the legislation or something that's going on. Because it's obviously they haven't followed some of the protocols, all of who knows.
Right. Well,
and that's a very dangerous thing, obviously, because you only have to read some of the stuff and it just spreads like wildfire. And, I'm surprised there hasn't been a lot more cases.
The really good thing is what Jason alluded to there is obviously no one from the Vikings have picked it up. So it hasn't transferred on the field of play from what we can make out, which, that's a good thing because obviously whoever is going to be playing, I don't know who the Titans play in week 5, but obviously they're going to be a little bit worried. Is it the Bills?
Yeah.
So at least they kind of thinking, okay, potentially it's not being sort of contaminated and sort of crossed over on the field, because I think if we sort of found that it had started at the Titans and then it sort of worked its way through the Vikings team, then I think we'd be panic a little bit. But I can only assume it's obviously something to do with that they picked it up somewhere, haven't they, in the sort of training facilities, or something's happened there. But thank God it hasn't sort of spread like wildfire through the Vikings as well.
The other thing is too is it's just we all kind of knew going into the season how fragile this was going to be, right? And it was going to take every single person to be disciplined, follow all the protocols, not do anything stupid, put anybody at risk, go out, anything like that, and all it takes is something like this to start, and then, it becomes a bigger issue. So I'm interested to figure out, well, first of all, they really can't disclose how someone got it, who has it. They don't have to disclose that, right? They have to disclose who they're putting on the COVID list, which is why that Adam Humphries has it. But I don't think we're ever really going to find out what happened. Like, did one of the Titans players go out? Did, we probably won't find that out, So, I mean, all it takes is one person to act irresponsibly, and then all of this can happen. So I think we all understood that this season was going to be fragile in that way. And now we're seeing it now in week 4. We had done such a great job across the league with no positive tests, nothing like that. Everybody, and then all it takes is this. And now, we have this uncertainty thrown. It just stinks. Like, this was always my biggest fear, the starting of the season and then stopping it. That's my biggest fear. Like, almost as if I would rather the season gets canceled from the beginning, as crazy as that sounds. I would rather them not start than stop. It's I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Nick, do you want to bring your other guest on that you got sitting in the background there, mate?
Certainly. Got another guest coming on. I've been trying
There
to
he
get this
is.
guy on since we started, and he's always dodged us. I think it's because of our dodgy English accents. He doesn't get our Alfred the Butler accents over here. Nick from at Nothing But Niners. Welcome in, my man. How are you? Good morning.
What's going on, guys, man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys. And it definitely is not the English accent, man. That's one of my favorite accents in the world. So look, it's always good to see you, Albert, and Pete. Finally, a pleasure to meet you. Jason, what's up, my homie? And then I'm not sure who the other guy is. So what's going on, boss? How are you?
I'm doing good, bud. My name's Scott.
Scott, what's going on, man? I'm Nick. It's appreciate it. And yeah, man, let's dig into these Niners, man. It's
Big Nick. He's out here trying to already get right into the Niners.
Look, bro, I'm always ready to talk football, man. Always ready to talk football. Whatever
This show
it is.
is already getting way too Niner heavy, Nick. I'm not impressed.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we were trying to keep it. We were trying to keep
Ganging
it.
up. We're ganging up on everyone. That's
Right,
what
we're
it
just
is.
trying to keep it a
Niners
little
are taking
level-headed.
over.
Hey, look, I'm just a guest on the show, man. I follow suit, so whatever, man. Let's do it.
Well, we're just
What
sort of
do you-
talking about obviously what was happening with the COVID and obviously more players going down at the Titans. Obviously, Jason's a little bit worried about the sort of season. It's a shame, but what are your thoughts on it, buddy?
Yeah, it's crazy because I've COVID has hit my household actually. Well, not in my household, but people that I know, and it's just so hard to determine what is going on with this whole situation. As in, where did this player pick it up? And I don't think the NFL is going to release that, right? They did say that they were going to be strict with it for now on. If somebody, goes outside of the building or wherever they go, and they're going to start issuing fines and suspensions and things like that. But look, it's obviously a pandemic that's across the world. It's going to be hard to control it. This is something that, I heard Jason saying that worries him, as in the season starting and then the season ending. Look, the NFL's not the way that the NBA was, and they're playing in a bubble, right? These guys still travel. They still go back and forth home to the stadium, and then obviously travel across the world to play football games. So, the chance of getting COVID was a lot more severe and in their aspect. But look, when it comes to Tennessee, people are like, oh my God, why are these people still coming out and, being detected positive? But people don't realize, yes, they get tested daily, but this pandemic or this virus, can sit in your body for up to 2 to 14 days without you even knowing. So a daily test, even though you're getting a rapid test, you may not have it in your system at that time to show, but 3 days later, you may come up positive because of the fact that it takes that long for it to be in your system. So it's hard to get a hold of. Look, I think the NFL is doing a great job to only have the little bit of a outbreak that we're having right now with one team, because the Vikings are obviously coming back all negative. But, the NFL is trying to do what they can. But, yeah, is the season definitely going to be in flux as to what's going to happen? Probably. I mean, we can't control it. And the NFL, like I said, I think they're doing a great job with the tracer bracelets, things like that, trying to determine where it came from or where they were diagnosed or contracted with it. But for the most part, man, what is it up to 11 guys now, I believe, in Tennessee, 7 players for staff.
4 officials. Yep.
Right. So, in that aspect there, you have to be able to look. The NFL did a great job. Shut it down. Don't go back to the facility. Do whatever you're doing, and then postpone a game. And obviously it hurts the other teams. But, I think they'll overcome this. I think they'll be able to get through it because of all the guidelines that they have in place. It's just, where was that little bug that got out and did what they weren't supposed to do? And therefore, I don't think we'll ever find out who that person was, the original. Obviously, there was a report that the coaching staff and stuff knew that this person had it and still played, right? Do I believe that? No, I don't really believe that, because I don't think they would do that. But in the end, I think it'll all work out. Let's just pray that the football season doesn't get shut down. But, like Jason said, man, I don't think they're going to come out and tell us who was the first person that contracted it or how they spread it. things like that. And you're just going to see names go on a COVID reserve list, and that's how we're going to find out who has it. So
you guys might be able to sort of answer this question. Obviously, I appreciate when the baseball season first started, all of a sudden Miami had their breakout, and it was a bit of an eye opener to the rest of the teams. Since that happened, has it stopped, or has it still happened thereafter? Are we sort of looking at this going, this is an eye opener to all the teams, like what Roger Goodell was sort of saying? This is a warning. You've got to sort of, be as safe and as careful as you can. You've got to always think, do you reckon this could be it? It's done. We're not going to see it again, or is it going to sort of happen again? What happened in the baseball? Did it keep coming back?
No, it happened. It happened very small a case with the Cardinals. The St. Louis Cardinals, but baseball stomped it out. Baseball did a great job with that. They're fine. We haven't had any issues when it comes to that. We just have to hope that the NFL uses this as a learning tool. Yeah. And I think that this is a wake up call to all the other guys, because remember, it only takes one person to put everything in jeopardy. And this is what's happening right now. So I think this will be something of a learning curve. And I think Nick's right. Like they did as best they could, shut the game down. Don't go to the facility. Let's figure out who has it. They've given themselves enough time to figure this out, vet it out, figure out who's there, who's going to be playing. It's just that if every day we keep waking up to more positive tests, it puts next week in jeopardy for the Bills as well, because you can't bring that team in to play them. That's really what I'm worried about.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the last thing the Bills want, because they're on a
they're
bit
rolling.
They
want to play anybody. They don't want to have to miss a game right now. They're rolling right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And Josh Allen is looking like a possible MVP candidate, and who thought we were going to be saying that at the beginning of the season?
All right.
So is Nick Mullins.
Oh, of course. I was waiting for it.
A little bit early to be on the. Well, it's never too early to be on the shank, Grandad.
No, exactly. So, Scott, talk to us about your team, Kansas City. How do you see it going? How do they look? Do you think they are unstoppable?
Yeah, tell us what happened Monday night, Scott, because they look great.
Yeah, no, they did look great. I think they took all the talk of the Ravens being the better team and all the experts picking the Ravens and being underdogs in the game. I mean, I think you saw that come through with not just the effort, but the play calling. I think they went in there with a point to prove. The first couple of games that they stomped on the Texans pretty good in the opening game. They started kind of slow and got down 7-0, but after that, it wasn't really a close game. And then the Chargers, it was a close game, and the Chiefs were struggling. They weren't doing a lot, but it didn't really look like they were doing a whole lot either. I think this third week, you really saw them open up the playbook. They took kind of the stage and took kind of the slight and being underdogs personally. I think you saw it, like I said, with some of the play calling and the effort, and just Patrick Mahomes, when he's on, he's the best player in the league, and he has the best weapons in the league.
Scott,
they looked really good. It was encouraging.
Scott, just before we talk about obviously the game against the Ravens, I'll just go back to the Chargers game. Do you think that the reason it was so close was because you guys had no preparation for Herbert at all? He literally, the coin flip, there he is. It's a new guy coming in at QB. You guys weren't ready, and it was a little bit of a what do we go on? A little bit of we got to adjust. Do you think that's the main reason? Sorry, before we sort of go on to the Ravens game, but just be interesting to sort of hear your take on the Chargers game, because I don't think anybody expected that to be as close as what it was.
Right. Yeah. It was the first game on the road for them. The Chargers have always given them problems. I think, and this isn't a secret, teams that can pressure the quarterback and disrupt Mahomes with a 4-man rush and not have to sell out and leave guys in one-on-one, not able to double Kelsey or Hill or some of the guys on the outside, that gives the Chiefs problems. I mean, the Chargers have given the Chiefs problems the last 2 years, even since Patrick Mahomes started. Right. You look at the game in Mexico, if Phillip Rivers doesn't throw 4 interceptions or whatever, they might or probably would have won that game. So I think, it's matchups make fights. If you ever watch boxing or MMA, you hear that saying a lot. I think they're a good matchup. And I think, too, I think maybe the Chiefs just kind of overlooked them maybe a bit. Maybe the effort wasn't there. And again, I didn't see the effort from them, and I didn't see the imagination and the play calling that I saw in week 2 that I saw in week 3. And as far as Justin Herbert goes, if you followed the Chiefs or if you're a Chiefs fan, number one enemy is the backup quarterback. Man, it never fails. Anytime we play the backup quarterback, he seems to come in and just play like the next coming of Joe Montana. So, yeah, I think it's a style thing. I think maybe it was an effort issue as well, week 2.
Obviously, a bit of a contrast to your week 3 Monday night game against the Ravens, which I have to say I did enjoy you guys giving them a bit of a licking.
Yeah, watching Tyreek Hill burn Marcus Peters for that touchdown was sweet too. I enjoyed that.
Also, sort of showed.
You can tell Pete's going to be all chirpy about the Ravens because, of course, his Steelers have to play the Ravens. So he's hoping against hope that, that Ravens display against a team like yours will be the same as when they play the Steelers. I still
don't know about that one.
Kick your ass.
That's way tougher. That's way tougher, honestly. That's a division game. You guys hate each other. I think the Steelers went in and they the Chiefs went out to prove a point on Monday. I was blown away with how many different ways they can attack you, right? Like everybody just assumes that it's all like throwing the ball down the field, but Mahomes gets the ball, he fakes right, he fakes left, and then there's Kelsey right there in the middle just to throw the ball to, and the defense has no idea. Like that's the sort of imagination. Like everybody wants to give credit to Andy Reid, and while they should, for sure, I'm just impressed with Bieniemy as he continues to grow as a play caller. Like the Super Bowl, I don't want to bring that up because it hurts, but I give a ton of credit to Bieniemy, honestly. Everybody wants to give the credit to Reid, but him dialing up that play on 3rd and 15, the wasp, everything, all that stuff was all Bieniemy, like I feel like, and he needs more credit for that team. And yeah, man, when they're rolling, it feels unstoppable. It feels almost unsurmountable. It almost feels like you're containing everything, right? You've got it, and then if you give them long enough, the levees break. Like you can't contain them the entire game. You have to play 60 minutes when you play the Chiefs. And then with the Chargers game, that's just a division game, man. Like those games are always going to be tough. The Cardinals aren't better than the 49ers, but they play us damn near to the whistle every time, So it's really, Scott's really right when he says matchups, right? So a team may not be better than you, they just match up well with you. And that's where you get those struggles, and that's sort of what you see. Honestly, the Chiefs are going to be fine. I think that this game also shows the gap between what the Ravens are and what the Chiefs are. Because not all you have to do, I don't want to make it seem so simple, but make Lamar Jackson have to come back and throw against you. That's been his kryptonite. And that's what the Chiefs did. They went out there and they scored and said, okay, now come back and beat us. It's hard for any team to do that at that point.
Yeah, and the only team that is really going to be able to sort of do that is someone like the Chiefs. I don't think there's too many other teams. I don't know, perhaps teams like Dallas, like Seattle, that are just airing it out there. Maybe they're the sort of teams that are sort of going to give them a game. But I think for sort of teams like the Ravens that are a little bit sort of more rounded and sort of want to play, a certain type of football, they want to hit the ground, they want to throw it. I think the only people that are going to sort of stay in with the Chiefs this year are people that are just prepared to sort of try and put up 30, 40 points against them and just see how it goes.
Good luck. I mean, like I said, honestly, the other thing is their defense is tailored to playing ahead, right? You let these guys pin their ears back and go get the quarterback when they have a lead. Now you're really in trouble. You have to keep the game close because everything changes from there. Then Spagnuolo can become way more aggressive with his play calls. So it's just a lot, honestly, I hate to be prisoner of the moment and everything because, the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, how they did and everything. But, in week 3 right now, with all the information that I have, it looks damn near impossible to keep this team down the entire game. It looks impossible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Scott, you must be sort of thinking, here we go. Here's potentially our closest rival, and they weren't even in the game. So it must give you guys real huge confidence.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does for sure. When everybody's, was talking about them maybe being the best team in the league, and you go into their place. I know there was no fans there, but it was still on the road. You still have the travel element to just kind of handily win the game. But that's been the story last year and even the year before. A lot of people talked about the Ravens, and we're talking about the Ravens. And again, I think the Chiefs just take all that talk maybe a little personal. It almost seemed like Andy Reid was maybe having a point to prove in Eric Bieniemy with some of the play calls and some of the razzle dazzle. They were So yeah, it was impressive. It's week 3. Lots can change in the NFL from week to week. Like we were talking about styles and styles make fights and matchups. But I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start for the Chiefs. And, I don't know if they put the blueprint necessarily out there for other teams to beat the Ravens. But if you watch what they do when they play them, is they don't get crazy with the pressure. They contain the edges and they try to funnel everything up the middle. They say, if you're going to run, you're going to have to run up the middle through the congestion. You're not going to get to the edge and beat us, and we're going to make you pass the ball and get the lead. And I know it's easier said than done, but other teams should be watching that, I think. And we'll see what happens the rest of the way. The Chiefs have a few decent matchups coming up here. The Patriots next week is obviously, it's always the Patriots and Bill Belichick. And then they got the Bills on the horizon, who have obviously, what you were mentioning, playing great. Josh Allen, I don't know if I'm sold on Josh Allen necessarily, but it's been an impressive start for them. Small sample size, but yeah, as a Chiefs fan and the Chiefs team, Chiefs Kingdom has to be happy with what we've seen so far, no doubt.
I was thinking the same about Josh Allen, but all of a sudden I kind of watched the game against the Rams thinking this is the game where we're going to see if this guy actually has got it. Obviously, he had the Dolphins and the Jets previous games, but he kind of went out there, took a huge lead. The Rams come back, and then the guy just then played an awesome final drive. I know there was a bit of a dodgy pass interference call at the end there, but the guy still took him down there, was still throwing really well. And it's to me, it's kind of proved to me that this guy's legit and he is going to be pushing them forward. Nick, I don't know what you sort of feel, buddy, on the Bills. I mean, they're looking good.
Yeah, Josh Allen has impressed me. I mean, you kind of, you're starting to see the Josh Allen that they drafted, right? That played in college and things like that, getting more comfortable and things like that. I wanted to go back to this Chiefs talk a little bit because it was kind of interesting because I know you guys are familiar with Eric Crocker. I think he was on your show as well. He put out something about Patrick Mahomes, and he was saying that, he thought that it was something that maybe was just happening in that game, but he goes back and watches a few games. And his theory on it was the offense in Kansas City is basically so good because of everything is so many unscripted plays. He was saying that Patrick Mahomes stares receivers down, basically, right? And I'm listening. So I'm listening to what he says. He says he stares receivers down, but what makes their offense move is the fact that their receivers are quick, and they allow and give Patrick Mahomes time to roll around. If that read isn't open, Patrick Mahomes just moves around the pocket and they get open and they come back for the ball. And they're smart like that. They're receivers, right? So I'm like, no way. There's no way Patrick Mahomes is just a quote unquote, say, one read type quarterback. But when you go back and watch this guy, that's exactly what he is. Every time he'll stare to the left or the right at a receiver. If they're not open, he gets himself out of the pocket, just starts moving around with that, crazy athletic ability that he has to be able to just get away from pressure. And then the offense comes back. If you can, Scott was just saying, I don't know if the rest of the NFL took notice of this or not, but what the Baltimore Ravens did was, what they do is they basically Baltimore, right? You were talking about contain the outsides, make you run up the middle, keep everything contained, and it slows that offense down, right? So if you go back and you watch Patrick Mahomes, look, this isn't taking anything away from the kid. The kid's a hell of an athlete, right? I'm not taking, don't take it like that. I think he's one of the best in the league, if not the best. But when I was just kind of intrigued when Eric was saying this, right? Because when Eric talks, I kind of listen and you go back and you listen to things because he studies a lot of film as well. And then I go back and I start watching. I'm like, wow, this, Eric's right on point with this. Like, it was surprising to me because I didn't take notice to that. Watching all this film, I didn't take notice. And I pick our quarterbacks apart for one read, right? So, but it was kind of interesting. I don't know what Scott, if you see that out of Patrick Mahomes and this offense as into most of their plays that they get big on, where they're moving the ball down the field, are these unscripted, get out of the pocket, keep the play alive with their receiver type plays.
Yeah, there's definitely that backyard ball type of play out of Patrick Mahomes. You even hear the announcers say it a lot of times. It's like that looks like he's playing in the backyard with your buddies, you know.
Yeah.
But he's also, I mean, you look at the stats like pocket passing. He's always at the top, if not the top, the last couple of years. Quarterback rating, completion yards, things like that, as well as outside the pocket. He's just a complete player. You know, the Chiefs, their offensive line the last couple of years has not been one of the better units in the league. So you do see a lot of the times where maybe it looks like he's a one-read quarterback, but you get 2.5 seconds and the pocket's collapsing and you're getting guys and he's having to drop back even further, you know, taking 8 and 9 step drops. So yeah, he's special in the sense that he can stand in the pocket, make plays that way, but he definitely does escape out. And that's maybe even tougher to defend because once it's off script and he's just out there, you know, going off instinct, it's pretty impressive what he's able to do for sure.
Obviously, what you were saying there as well about sort of taking like a multi-step drop back. I mean, there isn't too many players in the league that goes as far back as him, but because he's got an arm and he can absolutely air it out there, he can give himself that extra time, that extra space that other QBs and other teams just can't even begin to sort of understand or be able to sort of practice for, because he can create that extra space, that extra time to be able to get down to another read. You know, you look at some of them sort of throws he sort of made deep down the field against the Ravens. There were some big throws, but because the fact that he sort of drops back so far back, and I think, Jason, you can probably say on the Super Bowl, he was sort of doing the same thing, just sort of taking just deep drops, giving him that extra time to sort of be able to create extra plays that maybe other teams just don't get the opportunity to be able to do.
Pete, I don't remember the Super Bowl. That never happened. I'm trying to recollect what happened, but I can't for some reason.
Funnily enough, neither can I. But that's the amount of alcohol that I had drunk at the time.
The alcohol helped. It kind of wipes some of it away.
Scott's got a couple of copies that he can send you guys on the post. If
no, he doesn't.
Yeah, I got some.
Nice. We're good. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Sorry, boys.
Enjoy your championship, but don't you dare.
But like I said, the way he sort of drops back and gives himself the extra time is unique compared to any other quarterback.
Definitely.
Nick, do you want to go on to another subject? I know we've been talking about the.
We've been lapping it up for the Chiefs for 25
minutes.
Go
Chiefs!
It's gotta be brutal.
And they're looking good. They're still going to.
No, they are, and I think we all knew that eventually they're going to be one of the teams at the end there. And it's again, week 3, week to week, things change fast. But right now, they're looking good. A lot of good points all around. I agree with Nick, agree with Scott. There's it's a good discussion for sure, and that's what's beautiful about this is that we have so much more time to continue to add on to the stories of each team. So
we've got a few things we can talk about. But I guess if we go from the best team in the league to possibly one of the worst.
Atlanta.
Jonathan, obviously, let's talk about the sort of Falcons possibly. He's just saying there, if you think of getting rid of Dan Quinn, do you think we should go down the Panthers route and get a young and upcoming coach from college? Riley from Oklahoma, possibly. I don't know if you guys are into your college ball, but perhaps you could sort of give Jonathan a heads up with regards to, do they get rid of Quinn? Do they stick with him? Do they go down the route of sort of getting a young coach in, freshen things up a bit? What are your thoughts, fellas?
Get him out of there. Honestly, at this point, here's the thing with Dan Quinn, right? You were a defensive mind in Seattle. You come to Atlanta. Every year, your defense is one of the worst in the league. No matter what. So if you're not good at defense, what are you doing here? What do you do here? This team has right now wasted Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, wasted them, right? Julio Jones is already 31. How much longer do you expect him to be the best receiver in the league as far as everything that he does? Strong, fast, runs all the routes. What does Julio Jones do wrong? But there's no defense around it. They get to that Super Bowl. Everybody wants to blame Kyle Shanahan. Well, Dan Quinn, your defense could have got one stop in that game as well, too. It's like it went to hell pretty quick, but the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. And I just don't know what it is that they continue to see in the guy, because if he's building some sort of culture or something like that, it doesn't even really seem like the team is like bought in all the way to him. And it's like Atlanta's just wasting time, and they're wasting their chance, their window, you know. And it's like, you have to make one of these moves soon. Like, the problem with the NFL is it's a boys club. Once you're in, and and you rub elbows with people, they bring you in, and there's your buddy. Oh, I got a job for you here. I have the fresher minds are now getting into the game, finally, right? They're finally like even opening up to younger guys being the coaches now. So I think that's the NFL is a copycat league in every way. That's what happened. When Sean McVay hit, everybody was like, who's 21 years old and can coach? Let's just bring him in here. Or did Sean McVay rub elbows with this guy at a dinner? Then bring him in because he's going to have that sort of magic. Like, that's the way the league is sort of moving. So I think, that's the problem. If they win like 4 or 5 games at the end of the year, they'll be like, oh, look, they're turning it on. That kind of is the norm. I think that last year when they beat, you guys could let me know if I'm going crazy, Nick. When they beat the 49ers, that kind of saved Dan Quinn's job last year. Like, they were like, all right, that's it. Like, look at who they just beat. They can, and that's it. And they never talked about, like, I think like the next week they came out and they were like, yeah, he's coming back. I don't know with Atlanta. I really don't.
It's a tough, Atlanta's a weird one. As you say, they are wasting talent and doing nothing with it. And this year, I'm not an Atlanta fan. I'm a big Matty Ice fan, but they're wasting his talent the same way that if you look, the defense is nothing. They're like paper, and they lose even more players and become even worse. And, ownership have got to take, and the GM have got to take some responsibility on this, because I can't believe it's all Dan Quinn, because obviously I know he has some input who gets drafted, etc. But the GM's involved, and everyone should be accountable. But it just seems always that it's always the head coach fault. He doesn't snap the ball. He doesn't pass the ball. He doesn't protect the quarterback. He doesn't, so why does it always... It's a bit different. Obviously, soccer's big over here. And I have this argument a lot about soccer, that it's not the manager or coach that puts the boots on and goes on the field to score the goals or save the penalty or this. So it's probably a lot more context than that, complicated, than that. But, surely this should be a shared responsibility, from the GM down, if you like. What do you think, Nick?
Well, that's the thing right there, right? You kind of just hit on it. And I was going to ask, this is a question I'm going to ask, right? So since that Super Bowl run, when they lost that Super Bowl, what have they done to make this team better? Like, nothing. Like, they're not giving Matty Ice they're sticking with Julio Jones's and hoping that, things start to come abroad. And, look, I'm not a big Dan Quinn fan, right? And there's a lot of Niners fans that talk about, okay, well, Robert Saleh leaves this year, bring in Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. No, please don't.
DeMeco Ryan.
Right? Yeah. So, but I think DeMeco Ryans will be a guy that leaves with Saleh, to be honest with you. But Dan Quinn talk, look, Nick, you just hit it right on the head, right? And I've had this argument back and forth with Mike on our show is, talent is one thing. And general managers doing their job as well as coaches doing their job, but they're not playing the game. You can put your players into position to win a football game and execute, but if they don't execute, you're not going to win. You're not going to win football games, right? The biggest thing is, you just said it about soccer field too. The athletes have to be able to execute. In Atlanta, it just seems like they get up and they just like let the brakes off. The players. I don't think it has anything to do with the coaches. I think it's just a lot to do. Look, Dan Quinn is a defensive-minded coach, right? We know that the NFL is flipping to more offensive-minded coaches. So this is where it can hurt Dan Quinn, right? Because, look, you're not winning. Your players don't execute. It's just like a quarterback makes a wide receiver and a wide receiver makes a quarterback. The players make a coach and the coach makes a player. It works all together. To blame it all on Dan Quinn, as into what's going on in Atlanta, I can't do that because the players have to execute as well. And if they do decide to let him go, which I think they should, because they have to change something over there. But I think that if they do, other people on that team are going to want to be out of there as well, because I think there is a good player relationship between the coach and the players. I do think they go young. I do think they go to a college coach, somebody up and coming. You see it more and more in the NFL now, right now, like with Joe Judge. And, obviously he's a bad example because the Giants are not doing very well right now. But obviously he's came in there and said, we're going to build this and we're going to build it right. And it's going to take some time, which is the right mindset, right? You look at Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers. You look at Sean McVay with the Rams. Those young offensive-minded coaches. I definitely think Atlanta needs that. And I think they need a defensive coordinator who's not going to try to do both. And I think Dan Quinn kind of has his input on the defensive side of the ball as well as the offense. And it's kind of like what Niners fans and people are saying. And even in Philadelphia right now, they're saying, Doug Peterson's calling the plays. Well, Kyle Shanahan's calling the plays. And Niners fans before were like, Kyle Shanahan needs an offensive coordinator in his first year or so, right? And now people are saying, well, why is Doug Peterson calling plays, when he should be focused on this? I think there's a lot that Dan Quinn is doing behind the scenes that we don't know about. And I also think that the player's not executing is what's hurting him. I think he's a great coach. It's just the player's not executing. But
the Falcons are so close, though, aren't they? They are so close. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that their team just seemed to capitulate at the end of the game, they could easily be sort of 2-1. It's just the fact, like you say, I can't see how you can blame the coaches. You're telling me that on that sort of special teams onside kick against Dallas the week before,
that was definitely.
You can't.
But that's where I got to blame coaching.
But they're not. They're not coaching. I mean, they're coached to do that properly. That's just guys on the field just not applying what they're taught on the training ground. So I can't see how you can blame the coaches for that. That is just guys just not playing well at the right moment and capitulating and just throwing the coaches under a bus by not performing at the end of the game.
Here's the thing, though, Pete. Here's the counterpoint to that. Why is it that they always fold and every year? It doesn't matter. Players come in and out, right? You ship players in, you ship players out. The mainstays are the mainstays. But no matter who you bring in, they always find a way to implode. And that's the culture that is accepted there. So it is all the way down, but they all have manifested a culture where it's almost like, yeah, we know we're going to blow this game at the end. Not let's go win it. It almost feels like that. And as fans, we watch it and we say, here go the Falcons. And this is a reputation that they've had before Dan Quinn even got there. Remember, the year that the 49ers made the Super Bowl, what happened to them in the NFC Championship game? They folded on the lead. That wasn't Dan Quinn. So it might be ownership too, right? Dan Quinn wasn't the coach then, but that's been their reputation for how long now? So there is something else going on there. Like, you can coach them and they're doing something wrong, but the culture there feels like, yes, we're going to get a lead in this game, and yes, we're going to blow it, and we're okay with that.
Yeah, I guess so. Any more we want to talk about the Falcons, or should we move on, Nick? What do you reckon?
I mean, that one play you're talking about, right? We can all look. We look at that play because of the fact that that's what was stupidity and cost them the game, right? But we also didn't talk about the 28 points that they gave up after the lead they had. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's where it comes down to execution. And I just believe, like Jason's saying too, man, there's got to be something going on. Is there a rift between the players and coaches? I don't really know. You know what I mean? I'm not in the building. Could that possibly be what it is there? Possibly. But you also, as a man, you don't allow that stuff to blow your chances at winning, a Super Bowl or making a championship or going to a playoff. So whether you like your head coach or not, your head coach isn't the one benefiting from what you're trying to benefit and go forward. So whether you like your coach or not, you still should be playing. And that onside kick, this mentally. You've been playing football for how long that the ball doesn't need to travel 10 yards before you touch it. So this isn't a coach. This isn't coaching. This is stuff that you've learned when you were 6 years old starting the game of football. So this isn't like, okay, well, my coaches didn't teach me that. Come on, man. Like, this is your head's not in the game and you're not playing to your potential and you made a stupid mistake and you cost your franchise a game.
For sure.
That's what it is.
I can see Jace absolutely chuckling himself because I can see him throwing Aaron Rodgers into all his fantasy teams right now, knowing that he's
I've been
numbers.
All they had to do was draft Jordan Love, and now Aaron Rodgers is angry. Look what you guys did. Look at what you did.
Oh, that's it. I mean, as much as it gets bagged for the Falcons, it's typical of them that they'll probably go out and put up 40 against and then lose 43-40 or something.
Yeah, that's going to be a points bonanza. That game's going to be like we said with Atlanta and Dallas. That's what we were saying all week that week. We were like, if you guys like points in fantasy football, here's your game. And that's exactly what Atlanta and Green Bay is going to be on Monday night. Good God.
Yeah, I mean, if Nick Foles is able to sort of do it similar, God knows what Rodgers is going to be sort of putting up some serious numbers.
The play calling was hard. Yep.
Grandad, should we move on to the Eagles? Because obviously going from a team that has an amazing offense to another one that literally can't do anything on offense at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. Jason, have you got those?
Yeah, let me share my screen.
Nick, I've just got to interrupt you, mate, because Everton just gone 1-0 up.
Yeah, they went 1-0 up about 7 minutes ago, mate. That shows how fast your stream is behind, and it was a foul. But anyway.
All right, so yeah. I mean, I'm sharing my screen right now, so I guess somebody has to like click it so I could show real quick.
Let's do this, buddy. Right.
All right, so I mean, I think that the conversation we just had kind of applies to the Eagles right now, right? The Eagles have a lot going on right now, right? Like we could say, hey, Carson Wentz is regressing. Hey, the offensive line is hurt. Hey, the play calling is bad. All of those things are pretty much true at this point. Like there's something funky going on in Philly right now. Carson Wentz is not looking like the guy, that we all know he can be and has shown. The play calling hasn't been there. These guys look like they have no idea what they're doing. They're missing everyone. It's a perfect marriage for disaster right now in Philly. So like this play right here is kind of exemplary of what I'm talking about, right? So it's one thing to not have any time in the pocket. It's one thing to, not have guys open, but there's something going on with Carson Wentz when it comes to reads, right? So up here, this is Dallas Goedert right before he left the game. This is Zach Ertz, and they're going to run a mesh concept, which is a man beater. But the problem is the Bengals aren't in man coverage. They're in a single high look, but this is zone. The issue is that Carson Wentz isn't reading this in time, and he's looking at the wrong guys. One of these two guys is the primary read. You have to make a decision halfway through. Okay, this guy is going to be open or this guy's going to be open. Basically, what they're supposed to do is take their defenders and rub them up against each other. So it gives you that separation one side or the other. The issue is that they're not in man. So let's run the play real quick. So you'll see right here, it's going to be the same exact look. You're going to see Miles Sanders down here. He's going to be running a clear out, and you're going to run a clear out route up here on top. So here's where I want to stop it, right? Look, so here's how you know it's not man. The middle linebacker is instructing each player who to go with. Like, you take him, you take him. No one's following each other, right? The issue is that he's going to be targeting Deshaun Jackson right here, but he's not paying attention to the middle linebacker right here. So this is a misread, honestly, at this point. Like, you either have to chuck this ball over here to Miles Sanders or take it and run. So here's the look. Look, so it looks like man here, but he's just playing his zone. Once he beats him past his zone, the throw is going to be there for Miles Sanders. Look right here. He's already let this ball go because he's focused right down here. The issue is this. It gets tipped at the line because he's been staring down the receiver. And even if it wasn't tipped, that middle linebacker, you guys see that right there. That middle linebacker was already on his way to go tip that pass or knock it down in one way. So that probably would have been an interception either way. Hate the decision. Obviously, it was tipped. You can't really do anything with a tip ball, but that looks really bad, honestly, right there, like the way he's looking at it. I'll play one more for you. This should be like a walk-in touchdown. Like this right here, you're gonna watch a slant route to the middle. This is man coverage. Everywhere is man. Man, and man down here. So this is, once you see your receiver get the step, you got to let it go. And this is pretty simple right here. He's just not going to see him at this point. Stop it right here. It's man at this point, right? There's single high looks. You're looking at the linebacker. Go ahead and come take down the running back. But look at how open this is right here. That has to come out and be thrown right here, and he can just walk into the end zone at this point. He pulls it in. He was looking right here this entire time and not seeing the field for what this touchdown would have been. And now this time he has to come up and he has to barely get like 2 yards or something like that right there. It's really strange, like what's happening right now with him. But those are just small examples of things that he's just not processing correctly at this point. And again, it's a perfect marriage of being hit too much, not trusting your receivers, the game plan not quite being there. There's a lot going on with the Eagles right now, and it's just strange to see Carson Wentz regressing like this, even if it is only week 3.
Definitely. Just want to say thanks to Nick from Nothing But Niners. He's got a show to do coming up very, very shortly, so he's had to jump off. So thanks for your input coming on. A lot of I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about Philadelphia, and people are saying it's not Wentz, it's the receivers not running the right routes. Deshaun Jackson's been stealing a living for the last couple of seasons, and this, that, and the other. But obviously, as those plays that I know that's only a very small sample. But there is something wrong with Wentz.
I did all the plays from that game, because they played 5 quarters. If I did all those plays that concern me, we'd have like a 3-hour show. A lot of that is guys not knowing where they're supposed to be. Wentz just missing throws. Like other things are getting me worried. Like you have to know your personnel, right? Deshaun Jackson is what? Like an over-the-top fly guy, right? The problem is like they have him in for like these quick screens. Like that's not his game. Like why are you trying to smash a square into a circle hole? Like, like it feels like there's something going on in that building where they're not understanding or evaluating their time. Like it's just like I don't know. Like I it's something very strange. I can't put my finger on what to blame it on. Honestly, at this point, that's how much is going on.
Do you think it could be a little bit of pressure, Scott? Perhaps you can answer this one. Obviously, with them bringing in a QB in the draft, does that put a little bit of sort of pressure on Wentz, and he's just kind of trying to force it, or just trying to make big plays rather than actually sort of look at his reads and sort of make things work? He sort of just put himself under a bit of pressure trying to sort of make plays, and it's just not working for him.
Yeah, it's really tough to say because you saw him the first year or two. He looked like he was a great player, and now he doesn't look so great. Nick was saying when going back to the Falcons, when he was talking about them, it's the players that go out and make the plays. The coaches get the heat, but who does he have to throw the ball to? Like you said, Deshaun Jackson was a great player. I don't think anybody would argue he's, anywhere near as close as he was when he first came in. He's got Zach Ertz and Goddard's a decent player, but their receiving core, I know they brought in that Jalen Reagor, in the draft, and he's been hurt. They just are not an impressive team. They're not playing well. But I don't really see a whole lot there to work with either necessarily. But again, I don't watch much of the Eagles, so I'm definitely not an expert on the Philadelphia Eagles. I think people look at them from the Super Bowl team a couple of years ago and expect them to still be that, and they've obviously had a lot of things change since then. And whatever it's been that's changed, it's been for the worse, no doubt about that.
Yeah. Right, and then look, Goddard's on the IR, Rager's on the IR, Alshon Jeffrey hasn't played a game yet. Like this week, literally, it's going to be Greg Ward, John Hightower, Quez Watkins. Those are your healthy Philadelphia receivers this week with Zach Ertz.
Jace, does it not sort of show with regards to even if you're a good quarterback, even if you've got nothing there, isn't that what Brady's done at New England for the past century? There hasn't had stars out there, but if you're a good QB and you know the scheme, doesn't matter who you're throwing to.
See, that's what's funny about it, right? And I'm glad you brought the Patriots up, right? Because all I heard last year was that the Patriots don't have weapons. Right? Brady's like, Brady's complaining, people are saying that he doesn't have weapons. Cam Newton looks fine. Mm-hmm. And he showed that against Seattle. Like Julian Edelman looks like he's still the same guy. So it's like it's a little bit of both. For sure, quarterbacks need guys to get open. But then there's quarterbacks that throw guys open. Like Aaron Rodgers will throw you open. You need just a little bit of space. He can make that happen. Not everybody's built like that. So yes, a lot of people need, everybody needs receivers, even Mahomes. It's the perfect marriage of Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey. That's a perfect marriage right there. Like that's you lining it up. But if he had guys like, who weren't able to take the top off of defenses and run routes the way that they could, we might be singing a different tune. Not that we would, did not downplay him in any way, but everybody needs weapons. Everybody needs weapons.
I mean, talking of the Patriots, Scott, you boys facing the Patriots this week, going to be a fun game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's their Cam Newton has looked pretty good.
Yeah, I've been surprised.
He hasn't played in a year and a half, so he should be healthy. That was his thing in Carolina, right? Was like he just couldn't stay healthy and couldn't play. And the Chiefs, I think the New England defense got kind of exposed a little bit by the Seahawks. Was that last week they played, I believe?
Yeah.
Everybody talks about they're the number one scoring defense the last 2 years, and they got this player, and their defense is top 5 or top 3 or number 1 in this category, But, I mean, they play the Dolphins twice a year. They play the Jets twice a year. I don't know how it seems like they always have the easiest schedule out of every team in the league. But, it should be interesting. It should be an interesting game. I think the Chiefs should win. I don't think it should be too uncomfortably close for them. But yeah, as long as you have Bill Belichick, the Patriots are never going to be a pushover or an easy win. Right.
And to be honest, you're absolutely dead on with that, right? Because that's always been the discussion with the Patriots, right? It's like, they get to play the Jets, they get to play the Dolphins, like that's true. That division, hasn't been exactly the picture of, tough or anything like that, right? But this year, I think with their defense, what you're seeing is that there was a ton of opt-outs. Like we forget.
That hurt.
Hightower opted out. A bunch of these guys opted out. Now, Bill Belichick is still – this is culture, right? This is what I'm talking about with culture, right? Like, guys are still going to be there. Guys are going to buy in. The defense isn't going to fall apart. It's not going to be at the level that it was last year, but it won't fall apart because of the culture that's built there. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean, right, when I'm saying about Atlanta and all those things. Obviously, Bill is a one of one, but that's what I mean right there. It's like things don't fall apart. Mike Tomlin did it last year, right? The Steelers – get killed with injuries, and they don't waver. Right? The team still finds ways to win games. It's hard.
And this is maybe what you're saying, Jace. It is actually about coaching and creating an ethos within a franchise. So sometimes, even though you like what Nick was saying, they're not the players on the field, but this is a coaching thing that is instilled within a team to make them strong. So it doesn't matter how good you are, they're still able to sort of come up with the goods when it comes to game day.
For sure. Exactly. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick.
Sorry, Jason. Yeah, you always hear the Patriot way, okay? Always hear that. And I believe that is a thing. I don't know what it is. I can't say what it is. But even with those 8 players opting out, and a lot of them were defensive pieces, they are still somehow coming to play. And I'm looking forward to this KC game. I don't think the Patriots are going to win, Scott. So no. But it will be interesting to see what Belichick does to try and stop Mahomes and company, and maybe keep the score down. Or I don't know.
He's gonna do what Belichick does, right? If you're in a fight and you're a righty, take the right hand and make you fight with your left. Now, fortunately for the Chiefs, they have many lefts, so it's not like you can just pin one guy down. But you got to bracket Hill. You got to make sure that he doesn't get loose on the back end. But the issue is that Watkins can stretch the defense. Mecole Hardman can stretch the defense. Travis Kelce's always CEH. Like, they have so much. You can't hold them down the entire game, but Bill is not going to let one person beat him. Like, you're not going to see one person go crazy all over them. If they get a big play, it's because something happened. But I expect to see Stephon Gilmore following Hill and having someone over the top to watch him, make someone else beat you. Like, I think that they got to contain that part of it. And still, they don't have enough, I don't think, to get this done against the Chiefs this week. But
Gilmore's been really dooky this season.
Well, okay.
He hasn't been that good.
That's a good point. So here's the thing. What Stephon Gilmore struggles with are corner routes. and moves to the post. So last year, John Brown from the Bills kind of worked Stephon Gilmore on national TV. One of my favorite players in the league. I was so happy to see that happen. But Devontae Parker in week 17 was kind of working him in the same way. If you saw that catch with DK Metcalf, it was on a post route. It was on a corner route. So those are the ones that he struggles with. If you're going to run comebacks and you're going to run digs and stuff like that, he can be all over you. But when it's corner route and he has to kind of scale up the field the other way, that's when he kind of struggles, and that's where you can beat him. And I think the book is starting to come out that you have to attack him that way. Also, let's give credit to DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson. Like that's not, that's a special combination right there.
Yeah, they're on fire. Absolutely.
DK Metcalf is a beast.
Yes.
That guy is unbelievable. He's like 22 years old too, man. Like,
and we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna look back on the draft and say, how the hell did all these teams pass on DK Metcalf? Like, what were we all thinking? What, because he had a bad 3-cone? Come on, give me a break. Sometimes people overthink it.
He couldn's run routes either.
Right. He can't. His 3-cone was bad. The man is an Adonis and can run like who's around Usain Bolt. And you're overthinking it at receiver.
Yeah, but even Usain Bolt would hold on to that ball into the end zone.
I was just about to say, even Pete and I would have been like that running in the end zone instead of being like that.
I mean, luckily for him, he sort of caught the game-winning touchdown there, because otherwise he would have had a on his face.
That was bad.
It was bad, but it just showed doesn't matter how skillful you are, you can be a bonehead.
Finish the play. Finish the play. Always finish the play. The Steelers' way is when you're losing, cheat. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know who that guy is, and he's.
And the thing is, and that also brings me into a game that I'm actually sort of really looking forward to seeing as well, because you're going to watch Dallas and Cleveland, and I'm really interested to see what actually wins a game, if it is a great running game or whether it is a great throwing game. And I think this is going to be the perfect example if you can pound it on the ground and win a game, or whether it doesn't matter if your defense sucks, if you can air it out there and you've got a decent offense and you can still sort of go toe-to-toe with those guys. So I'm really interested in this game. I find it really hard to call. It's only the fact that it's the Cleveland Browns that I would never pick them to win the game. So I'm going for the Dallas Cowboys. But I'm actually quite excited to watch this game. It is the understudy game to the Steelers and the Titans. I've noticed that they've drafted this one in because, the primetime game isn't there anymore. So they've thrown the Browns in and the Cowgirls. But Nick, I reckon this will probably be a game that you're probably going to watch as well. Would I be right?
Yeah, it definitely. It's definitely on the radar because I think Dallas's secondary is trash. They're really not that good. And
you're being nice.
Okay, they're utter dog shit.
That's better? It. There you go. Let it fly. Let it fly. It's the Cowboys.
Now,
I'm interested to see because
let's just bring Michael Irvin on. He's got something to say. Hold on.
Oh wow. I'll be like, hey, let's talk about it. I got questions.
We haven't got any Colombian marching powder for him, so we can't.
My God.
Listen, the Baker has been a different person this season. I think started off slow and he's getting ahead of steam. They've got the best 1-2 punch at running back, I believe, in the whole of the league.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue that.
No. Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry. I don't know how many tight ends they've got that are good. And as I said, the Dallas secondary is just awful. It could become a shootout. Who knows? And I'd actually quite like to see that.
Well, mate, if it's a shootout, there's only going to be one winner, Nick. Dak has been next level. You look,
but they've got a pass rush. Dallas haven't got a pass rush. Their linebackers are beaten up. So expect to see a lot of intermediate and underneath stuff with the odd luzzing it downfield to OBJ. I don't think Dallas will keep up in a shootout because they're going to find it very, very difficult to stop this attack when their secondary just isn't up to speed. Dallas, yes, they've got great receivers, but if you've got that pass rush in your face, and he's not the most mobile of quarterbacks when he's in midfield, etc. Yes, down on the goal line, he can sell it and fake it, etc. I'm interested to see this Cleveland team, if they can use this as like a coming out game for this season, if you like. And it again, last season, the coaching, and we talked about it with the other teams that we talked about. The coaching in Cleveland last year was awful.
You're being nice again.
Sorry, absolute dog shit. This year, new coaching staff, new philosophy, new this, new that, as I said. And I still hate those bloody progressive adverts that, what's his name?
Baker.
What's his name? I've fucking lost the
Baker.
name. Baker Mayfield. Every time that comes on, I want to throw stuff at the screen because they're just so annoying. But when you listen to him now and he speaks, he's a totally different person to what he was last year. And I think he finally gets it. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, the playoffs, but this year, Cleveland's team is a different team. And I believe that's because of the coaching that's come in this year. Jason, you look like you've got some things to say. You're either going to shoot me down or agree with me.
No, I got honestly, yeah. So I was really impressed on Thursday, right? That's not the Cleveland team, that usually comes out on national TV and people, are like, oh, ha ha ha, the Browns. That wasn't that, right? Now, granted, the Bengals aren't exactly the model of success, right? But baby steps, right? And I think what I saw on Thursday was I saw that cocky Baker swag again, right? A little bit more he's a guy, obviously, who plays with emotion. They want him to curb that a little, and they want to make sure that he plays under control. But I think a lot of what makes Baker successful is when he's out there having fun. He's throwing the ball around. He's kind of swagging around, moving his arm. That's a little bit what I saw on Thursday. Does that mean that he's on the road to, being where, he was his first year or improving? I'm not certain, but I was impressed to see that on Thursday. Kevin Stefanski really did a great job of, moving the pocket for him, getting him out so he doesn't get the yips in the pocket and getting him on rollouts. And I think, when you have somebody who can roll out, Baker's not mobile, but Baker's got legs and he can move. So I think it's smart to get him going, get him moving. And I think that's a little bit of what they did. And he'll have his chances in this game for sure to add on to that, because as we said, the Seattle secondary is just dreadful. The whole watching that Seattle game, I don't know what defense it is, but you don't leave Tyler Lockett running by himself down the field, uncovered. I don't know what defense that is. I'm not, what happened? If I was a defensive coordinator, I would lose my mind at something like that. Literally, there's only two guys that can beat you on the outside for that team. You do not let Tyler Lockett just run by himself down the field. What was that?
That's called cover zero.
Right. Right. Whoever was supposed to cover him was covering the grass. I don't understand what you're doing, bro.
That's social distancing sort of taken to
right.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you look at Cleveland against the Washington football team. The Washington football team stank, and Rivera sort of said it as well. These guys have got to perform. Haskins has got to perform, and I'm still not. I think they've got a great ground game, but I think if you snuff that out and you make Baker pass, the Browns are there for the taking. Ivan, if you're still watching, I'll make a £10 bet every single day on the show. And if you're willing, mate, I'm going for the Cowboys. If you want the £10, buddy, you back the Browns. I've got the Cowboys. And as a double whammy, when Nick decides to come back, I'll even let him have a tenner on it as well if he wants. So, Ivan, let me know if you want my £10. I'm going Cowgirls. If you want the Browns, take it. Grandad, if you want in on the action, I'm making my bet for the week. I'm betting Cowboys against the Browns. Do you want in?
I've just done a 50-yard sprint to come back on camera and come off again. Another £10 Mondays are becoming a thing at work.
What?
And
Zach,
I love it.
Do it, Nick.
I mean, there is no way the Cowboys are going to win this game.
Nick, I don't know about this one, Nick. I don't know about this one. Last week, the Giants Niners thing, I knew you had it. This one, I don't know.
It's all right. I'll just, if they lose, I'll get a tenner off of Ivan for making me look bad. So
I'm going big in this game. This is my £20, so this will get me coming back to being even, getting £10 off of Ivan and off Grandad as well. So,
and talking of even, Pete, the score in the Everton game is now 1-1.
Well, my game's about 20 minutes back, so we're still winning 1-0 over here, mate. And I'm taking
that won't last long.
Scott, what do you think about this game? Like, do you think, because Nick, so this is like the second week in a row. So last week, Pete was having a bunch of fun with us, and he was like, the Giants are going to beat the Niners, and we got 10 on it. I was like, Godspeed, exactly, right? Like that face was just like Godspeed. But how do you feel about it?
I think it's the Cowboys' game to lose. The Browns, they've got the nice running game, but so you're talking about a shootout. I'll take Dak Prescott over Baker Mayfield in a shootout every Sunday. So I think the Browns are on their way up. I think they're trending the right way. I think they still got a ways to go. I just think when you look at the Cowboys and their offense and what they've done, they took the Seahawks to the wire. They've played really. They scored a bunch of points against the Falcons, who we already talked about. Their defense is trash, but I see the Browns having a hard time hanging with the Cowboys this week for sure.
I've made a good bet this week, Scott.
I think so too. You know what?
I've just hang it out there. I knew that they'd take the bait on this one. This isn't the Giants against the Niners. This is the Cowboys against the Browns, mate. And
right, okay, you say that, right? Mm-hmm. Let me give you some odds. Okay, you've got plus 4.5 either side. Is almost evens. So Vegas ain't splitting this game. You've got Ezekiel Elliott to score the first touchdown, 5-1. But yeah, Vegas ain't splitting this game. So it's a lot closer than people think it's going to be. And again,
Exactly my point. It is a lot closer. We all knew that the Giants weren't going to beat the Niners, but I just wanted to do it because I knew that I would be able to bask in all my glory.
Did we, Pete? Is that what it was? Did we make the bet because we knew the Giants were going to beat the 49ers? Or did you really mean that? Because I heard a lot of Danny Dimes is going to dime it up.
Yeah. You've only got to look at last week's show, Jason, right?
He was driving the team bus when he down to Saquon's house and handed him the W.
That's right.
He handed him the firest L. He was dropping nickels.
He was, he took some bagels, and they were lucky that the kicker managed to get the kicker to get a couple of kicks. That was it. Forget about it.
Indeed, and obviously, you boys, let's head back. So we missed out on the Eagles-Niners finish of the game because we jumped onto the Chiefs and the Patriots. But you boys have got Deebo Samuel back this week, right?
Yes, but he'll be on a pitch count. It's not going to be like full throttle Debo, and I like that. But I think the bigger thing is that Kittle's back this week, and that's huge. And then this was my point. I've been saying this for 2 weeks on the show. Long season, people are going to get hurt. Like did you see the Seahawks injury report this week? 28 players on the injury report. That leaves 25 off of the 53 that were healthy this week in practice. Jamal Adams is not playing. Quentin Dunbar is not playing. Chris Carson hurt himself. It's happening all over the league. And that's the thing. And that's always been the week-to-week thing. While teams are getting injured, like the Eagles, they're going to be literally running out nobody this week. The 49ers are getting healthy. Brandon Ayuk took a step last week. He looked amazing in that game. At certain points, I was like, is that Deebo Samuel or is that Brandon Ayuk? They were using him in the same exact way. Like I couldn't tell on certain plays. But Kittle being back, even without Jimmy being there, Kyle Shanahan this week, again, coaching, Pete, coaching. Team does not go to hell. The team didn't just win the game. They obliterated the Giants. And that's coaching. That's putting your players in good positions to win. That's why I'm excited for this game. Give me Kittle back. Give me Debo back for a little bit. I really don't see where the Eagles score points from. I don't see how they generate offense right now. Like, this is going to be tough for them. And I expect the 49ers to win pretty handily on Sunday night.
Yeah. What week do you guys actually play someone relevant?
Right. So it's Miami the week after. No, it's a good point. See, but again, it's a perfect marriage, right? If injuries are going to happen, they're going to happen when you face the Giants, the Jets, the Eagles, the Dolphins. So we're able to navigate this. Right after that, it gets hairy.
James, I'm not telling Nick this, but I am a little bit concerned that you guys are still winning games.
Right, exactly.
You get healthy, you start playing divisional games, and then you boys start looking good. And And
that's what the good teams do. The good teams beat bad teams. And then when you play the good teams, you kind of got to just break even at that point. You know, you can't expect to just roll everybody. So it'll be the Rams, Seattle, New Orleans, Green Bay, and like the Rams again. Like that's in a row. That's what's coming. So that's the schedule where we want Sherman back. We want to make sure Debo's up to speed. We want Jimmy back. So there's a lot there, you know, for us to be excited about. So pile up the wins against the teams you're supposed to and get healthy and then see where you go when you face the bigger competition for sure.
Yeah, exactly like Seattle. You know, they're playing teams now. They're getting some results. They're playing some big teams and winning, unlike the Niners that are playing some smaller teams. So when they start playing some teams that are relevant,
we beat both New York teams and we beat that shitty Meadowlands turf. That's an extra win. So we've come through all that.
Thank you, Nick, for bringing that up. Pete, did you hear what Minkah Fitzpatrick said about that field after week 1? When they asked him on a Zoom call about it? And this is how you know it's not just us. Someone posted it on Twitter. I want to give them credit, but I can't remember. Minkah Fitzpatrick said out of his mouth, he's like, that's the worst field I've ever played on. He goes, and it wasn't just us complaining about it. He goes, you know, there's nothing we can do. He goes, I just know that. He goes, what happens is with that turf, it doesn't give, right? That's why you lose the ACLs and things to it, right? Grass gives. He goes, if you put your foot in the ground, it'll sod up and come right out. Turf doesn't give. And he goes, we all know that going into the game. He goes, so you just have to make sure that you're aware of that. He goes, that's why you step a little different on the turf. So it's not just us that was saying that. Minkah said that after week 1, and that field was probably in the better shape that it was because, like I explained to you guys, it was a night game and it wasn't as hot, which makes the field more sticky.
Yeah. You know I'm only busting your balls, Jay. So I'm big on the Niners, but I think this is the frustrating thing on getting like this because I know that you guys are legit and you're getting all your players back and you're going to be fucking strong and it's going to suck when you.
You guys are 3-0 like I just because there's this narrative out there on Twitter that we're the only ones complaining about the field and it's like no, like the Steelers had things to say and again they the point that people kept saying was. There was only one ACL torn in week 1. Well, one is too many. One is too many. Like it's not, only one. That poor kid Banner lost his season because of it.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to be sort of getting too many people that are saying that the Eagles are going to win against the Niners this game, that's for sure. And hopefully the fact that, Christ, that Meadowlands, that turf has been there forever. So, yeah, it sucks, but we just got to go win. It sucks that Saquon's out for the season. Scott, what other games interest you this week, mate? Anything else you want to have you ever got a look at the fixtures? Anything there that jumps out to you that you're looking forward to watching this week?
No, not really. We talked about most of the big games. I think I'm just looking at, I'm not a big power rankings guy, but it's really interesting when you look at some of the better teams. We talked about the Chiefs and we talked about the 49ers and Steelers. Hey man, they're 3-0. That's obviously you can't start better than that. So we'll see how they finish out. But the thing that is I think has really popped to me this season is how many years did the Seahawks waste of Russell Wilson running the damn ball all the time? What have they been doing? Are you guys watching that dude this year? Yeah. Unbelievable. Dude is unbelievable.
I'm afraid that they finally got smart. I'm scared that Seattle finally was maybe put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands and let him create. And I've been happy that they haven't figured that out. I'm scared that they figured it out now. I'm scared.
Yeah, no, for real. Why on earth that they've sort of pounded the ground game for so long when the guy is just putting up some serious numbers this year? And if they can get that defense sort of rocking, it's going to be hard for you guys to overtake them in that division. It really is.
Or anybody. That's the thing. Or anybody.
The other thing as well, still, and everyone knows I hate 3 and I admire him, how he can do that with a shitty offensive line that he's had forever. Put some good receivers in there, Metcalf, Lockett, etc. And he can still do it behind that garbage line. As the only issue I have with Seattle really is their defense.
Yeah,
right.
Because everybody is just treating them like a poor stepchild,
And you're going to see it this week. Your man Fitzpatrick's going to do it, Nick, this week.
Yeah.
Too.
No, I mean, I'm worried about Fitzpatrick against us. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you give him time, he will carve you up. And that's a worry for a lot of teams. But as you say, this week, again, they've got Russell Wilson. Unless Russell Wilson gets taken out, Seattle have got this game. It's theirs to lose. But he will put up, I mean, I don't do fantasy or any of that, but if you've got Fitzpatrick, you play him this
is the week for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting him in a bunch of leagues just because, I don't have a better option, and I'm fine.
I'm getting one of my shirts on tomorrow. I'm going to get some serious chest hair going on and hope that Fitzmagic can bring it back, because nothing would be funnier to see Fitzmagic at work. I can't see it.
Fitz is doing nothing against Seattle.
No, I don't know, Pete.
Their defense is awful.
Pete, all right, Pete. I know I can't hand you 10 pounds, but do you have Venmo or something? Because I'll bet you, and I'll Venmo you or something like that. One of those apps or something like that.
He's got PayPal.
Yeah,
I'll give you his bank details because I
had Bitcoin this week because Nick apparently doesn't do cash. I had to start Bitcoin.
in fact,
but you know what? Look, I'll send you $10 American if Fitzpatrick doesn't throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns this week.
Yeah, I'll have some of that.
300, 3 TDs.
That's easy. That's light. The Dallas. I'm not trying to talk you out of it, but the Seattle Seahawks have given up. They are bottom at the league of pass defense, and that was with Jamal Adams, who can't cover. He's a box safety. Now you're talking about no Adams, no Dunbar, no pass rush.
You're talking yourself out of it, Jason.
I am. I want to give him but I'm trying to be fair. I want to give him what I'm seeing and let him make his decision.
Make sure you factor in that exchange rate.
Right, that too.
That too. $15 for like 10 quid.
I'm sending $10 American. Whatever that you on the other side is, that's it.
You know what, Jace? Just to make it fun, and you know what? I'm probably going to be £30 out of pocket this week, but I will have the bearded one, the chest-haired one, getting 300 yards, 3 TDs, ain't happening against the Seahawks this week, buddy.
I love it.
What do you reckon, Scott? Who's coming out on top of this little wager?
Don't get me wrong, Seahawks are winning, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think that the Seahawks are gonna lose this game because it's still Russ. I'm going to be rooting my ass off for Miami. I'm just saying that Fitzpatrick will have his way with this defense, and it'll be closer than you think.
I think Fitzmagic has had his one good game this year, and he's going to go back into hiding.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. I mean, that's always the risk, right? That's the fun of playing Fitzpatrick, right? He can go off on your team for 45 points, or he can get replaced in the second quarter. That's sort of the experience.
Hey, man, he got us the 2 seed beating the Patriots last year.
For sure. That's what I mean.
17. So I definitely, there's no hate or disrespect for the Fitzmagic here.
Of course.
That dude seems like he's got 1 or 2 really good games a year, and the rest of the time he's just kind of meh, but we'll see. As someone who has Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf on their fantasy squad, I'm looking forward to this week because they should have a field day with that defense.
What a stack. My goodness gracious.
They've been outstanding, but yeah, it's been a good season. Everybody was concerned about the COVID and how the play was going to look, and it's been pretty good. It's been crisp. There's been a lot of points being scored. I've been happy. The games I've watched have been entertaining. I think one thing, the officiating I think they've asked those guys to swallow the whistle a little bit because you haven't seen the penalties necessarily. You have, especially the first game or two when teams, they had no preseason. They had very limited, if no practices at all in the off season and the OTAs and things like that. So, the games have been really good. It's been a really fun season so far. And like I said, everybody on here, I don't think everybody on here's team's 3-0, right? No losses. Crying our beers about.
Yeah, unfortunately. Don't be, Scott. Don't be handing them another W.
We lost to the Cardinals in week 1.
Oh, that's right.
That was our first preseason game, though.
Not being funny, even the Lions can beat freaking Zona. I mean, what's going on with that?
Hey. All right. Let's let's keep it civil.
Arizona's one of those. They're still really young, so that's not surprising to see them jump up and have a really good game and then kind of disappoint. That that's growing pains for sure.
And they played us to the whistle last year, both games. And divisional games are toss ups. All it takes is for you to have a bad game against them like we did, and that'll happen, man. And Kyler Murray, last week he threw 3 interceptions. I caught a lot of haha, look at your boy. But I'm like, guys, that's one game. So because of one bad game, the amazing things he did in the first 2 don't count. Like, come on, let's just be calm down a little bit. Like, he still scares the hell out of me.
And the Texans giving him DeAndre Hopkins for nothing helps too.
Yeah.
Don't get me started, Scott. It's been a rough year, man.
We talk about coaches getting fired. What about Bill O'Brien? They're 0-3. They gave away DeAndre Hopkins.
Man, I was big on the Texans from the beginning of the season. They've had a horrible schedule to start. I do feel that out of the teams that haven't won a game yet, the Texans are still one of these teams that could still potentially sort of come back and still have a bit of a run of it. I still think the Texans have been unlucky. Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers. Yeah, I think they'll go and beat the Vikings this week. I think they'll go and beat the Vikings this week.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think they win this week?
Obviously, our buddy Cal Garrett's now on the practice squad at the Vikings, and they've had a couple of days where they weren't able to get in the training facilities with obviously this COVID issue with Tennessee. So I don't see them going down to Texas and getting a win. I think it'd be a tight game, but I think the Texans finally get their first W of the season, and they sort of continue from there because even with a player like Watson there, he's got some weapons around him. The D's all right. I mean, we completely shut them out second half. We sussed them out. We shut them down. But I don't feel that there's too many defenses that can do that to them. And I think they're a team that sort of gets back on the run. I really do.
Yeah,
Will Fuller has got to stay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm just saying that loss to Hopkins has really hurt that team, though, man. You watch their offense. And even with Deshaun Watson, it's just not.
You can't take that away. Anybody that loses Hopkins is losing one hell of a player. I mean, that guy's a bulletproof job. You can't replace that guy. But what you were saying, Scott, it's been a really good season so far. The fact that we've got ball, I'm not missing fans in the crowd at all. When the games are being played, I'm still really enjoying it. It's great. Nick, I don't know if there's anything sort of more you want to talk about other than the fact that maybe tomorrow we're doing a bit of an experiment. Do you want to put it out there and let people know what we're going to try tomorrow, seeing as our teams aren't playing in the early one?
Certainly. I do want to speak about the New York media, etc., with Jason before we hop off. But yeah, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock UK time, we are going to do a live Shank Club NFL watch party on our YouTube, Periscope, etc. Pete and I are going to take the piss out of each other, obviously, because that's what we do, even though our teams aren't playing. But we want you to come on and talk about your team if they're playing in the 6 o'clock games. If they're not, that's fine. If there's a bit of a lull, then we'll get you on. We've got someone that's going to be watching Red Zone for us and hopping in and out when something happens. Pete's going to be running the ticker with all the scores going across the bottom. So we want all fans, doesn't matter from wherever you are, if you want to come on, DM us on Twitter. We'll send out the links. We'll get you on. I know there's a lot of Atlanta people that have reached out to me who want to come on and talk about Atlanta. Obviously, Pete's going to be watching a game. I'm going to be watching a game.
There's going to be plenty of time, Nick, isn't there? There's going to be plenty of time for people to come on and have a chat.
We've got loads of time, and it's an experiment.
You boys are more than welcome to come on and join us. But what we want is people going nuts. We want a touchdown to take place. Come on, scream about it. If your team's choking and sucking, come on. Vent your anger. We just want people's emotions coming onto the show and just chucking it out there. That's what we want. It's going to be good fun.
The agony and the ecstasy, right?
Exactly. I love it. Right. And we can all watch the sort of game and enjoy it and everything, but I want up to date, up to the minute fans coming on, telling them what they're thinking, telling that the coaches have got to go, saying how amazing their players are. I just think it's going to be great. I just think it's going to be good fun. Somewhere for people to come, watch the game, fly on, say something, go away, let us continue to talk about it. And I say, the more the merrier.
Come on and tell me and Pete we're rubbish and get off and never come back on again.
I mean,
it's an open house. You can say what you like. I mean, do you two guys in America, have you ever heard of Benny Hill?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The comedian?
Uh-huh.
Well, our friend who has made some comments in here, Bootlegger UK, is a dead ringer for Benny Hill. There it is. And
Benny's coming on. He's got to come on.
He is a Seahawks fan, and we want him on. But
Okay.
as long as he doesn't have, he doesn't have a lot of women in high heels and that chasing him around the screen while he's trying to make the comments, that'll be fine. So hopefully, Seattle, you want to come on. We got Ivan coming on.
Ivan's definitely going to come on because.
But he said he might be drunk at 6 o'clock, so we might have to get him on a bit early in case he starts.
I can't trust
slurring.
these Cleveland fans to have any money, so he needs to come on and prove that he's actually got 10 quid. Because
actually, he should bring £10 on when he does his live hit to show that he's got some money. Right, before we close out, I just want to know, Jason, as I said to you, obviously you're up in New Jersey.
Oh, give me a second, Nick.
Nick.
Nick, some real big breaking news just dropped.
Hang on, breaking news.
Cam Newton tested positive for COVID, and he's not playing Sunday against Kansas City.
Shit.
For real.
Oh, God.
That's the Pats going down the pan then this week as well. Then
you're not going to smile from Scott. Look,
you're not going to get one player, are you? You're not going to get one player.
You know what? I mean, that makes the game easier for the Chiefs, but I hate to see that, man. That's
right. That's what I mean, right? Like the product now is suffering again.
Well, Jace,
he's a human being, man, and that COVID's bad stuff.
But the thing is, how the teams have got to establish how this happens. I mean, it was bad enough with Tennessee with all those players and coaches, but you've got the star quarterback of the Pats. How has he become exposed to this?
Nick,
when did it happen and why? And put a stop to it, because otherwise the NFL will just shut down.
If Cam Newton has COVID, there is I can't. How can you have one player and not the rest if they're all?
No, I'm not saying.
This is going to be more than just Cam Newton having COVID. This could now potentially be the Patriots going down like Tennessee.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
He's the first one that's tested positive, so now they know there could possibly be more, but they've got to get to the root of how it happened. Yeah. How does it happen that your star quarterback is put in that position that he gets the disease with all the track and trace things and the alarms and everything they wear? I mean, it could wipe out the NFL now, and it will get to the point where they'll say, I mean, that gives an unfair advantage. Not saying, like we said earlier, I'm not saying the Pats were going to win. But now, how does it become a game when the other team's star quarterback? I mean, do you treat it as like, you got turf toe and he's out? Do you see what I'm saying, Scott? It's automatically an unfair advantage. Surely now, with him testing positive, surely now the NFL have got to suspend that game. Or am I overreacting?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, if he's the only player that tests positive, he doesn't play. But I mean, there's other guys that could have it that just aren't testing positive for it yet, or you could have a false negative, and so the guys come. Yeah, I don't know. That's the
other thing, Scott. Perfect example there, buddy. This could well be a false negative, and then nothing comes of it. But this is what we've been waiting for: an elite quarterback to get it, and then we'll really see, where they feel they're going to go. But let's hope it is a false positive, because we don't want these games called off. We want to see these games.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you can have. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I don't know how they have the game now. Because if you got other people exposed to it.
So from what Schefter is saying, this, I mean, I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm actually listening, but I'm reading through like everything that they're saying right now. They've been doing mass testing, the Patriots, and no one else has it. So
Right.
I don't know.
But those
This
could be
isn't
false
good.
negatives too, right? And
It
so-
could be, but I think they're pretty certain, and I think that the Patriots wouldn't put out that he's positive without like double and triple checking, right?
Sure.
Like,
No, I understand. Yeah.
yeah,
My
but it
worry-
is possible. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed for that. But so if we can just keep it about football, he's just not gonna be playing this weekend, and that really stinks, man. Like that really was like that again. That takes the starch out of this game now. Jarrett Stidham's gonna be starting.
I mean, that's the same as Mahomes going
though.
down, right? It's that
Right.
kind of thing where
Right.
the star player, their star player, has gone, and it doesn't affect the game. It affects the whole game, and the same as if it was Mahomes, if it was Roethlisberger, whoever, it changes the whole dynamic, and it's that sucks.
Nick, 2-1, buddy.
It's been 2-1 for ages, Pete.
Oh.
But I don't know that whatever stream you're watching must be about 20 minutes behind
Well,
because
because
they
I've got
scored
your
just
second-
before half
I'm
time.
stealing your second subscription, so my sort of time
Yeah,
is
well,
like.
don't
I've
tell
been-
everyone because you'll get us all shut down, you dick. Right. Sorry, Jason. Obviously,
Yeah.
that breaking.
So the
news
New York
sucks.
media, right?
What is going on with the New York media, with the Giants and the Jets? Who's getting the most shit in the land
Well,
over there?
I promised that I would, do the Jersey accent, but I realized that I didn't do it on the actual live, so I'll do it one more time. The Giants and the Jets right now, both of their fan bases are saying, "Forget about it. It's
Forget
over."
about it.
Like,
The
no,
fuck
seriously.
out of here.
Right now, there is, NFL Twitter is very divided on many things, right? Our teams, our ideas, what we think. One thing that NFL Twitter can come together and agree on is that Adam Gase needs to be fired and that Greg Williams is the biggest POS in the history of this game and continues to get jobs. Continues, even when his defenses are terrible. So not only is he a terrible person, he's a terrible defensive coordinator. The Jets are getting it all right now. The Giants are getting a little bit more leeway because of Joe Judge, right? They have a grace period. You really can't. They're missing guys. You really can't go too hard on them, even though they did look pathetic last week. That was just an awful, awful effort. But the Jets are the ones getting it, and I think that the spotlight needs to be shown on Gase and Greg Williams. Did you see Vic Fangio did not shake hands with them after the game?
Yeah,
He sent everyone to the locker room because of late hits. Greg Williams is a terrible person, and I can say this with all confidence, right? Because we've heard the audio and we know how he coaches his team to play. He's a bad person, and I don't understand why he continues to get jobs. Adam Gase, they still haven't got rid of him. I'm so scared that he's ruined Sam Darnold because I saw Sam Darnold get sacked by a ghost. Like, he literally fell down. I'm scared. I'm scared for them. And the Jets are really more the focus right now than the Giants. The Giants have a little bit more leeway. Their fans are freaking out, if that's what you want to know, Pete. Like, that video that I posted of that Giants fan on YouTube going crazy, that's the pulse of 95% of the Giants fans, for sure.
That was Mike D from the Beastie Boys, brother.
Oh, Pete, Nick, you'll enjoy this story. So I post that, and I talked about it on Niners All Day. I post that, and it goes crazy on 49ers Twitter, 25,000 views. And the guy who actually recorded the video follows me on Twitter. So I thought it was going to be a nice little discussion, and we were just going to play back and forth. He sends me the nastiest DM and then blocked me.
Yeah. There's a lot of people.
Quality guy. It was hilarious. It was a hilarious.
But that's what I wanted to tell him. I wanted to tell him, like, let's parlay this into like something funnier, right? We're all just talking about football. You should never get that angry about it, right? Like, so I thought I was doing him a favor. Like the clip that I cut for him, 25,000 views, the original video, 4,000 views. I did you a favor. I feel like, and you didn't see what we could have did right there. But hey, whatever. He doesn't like me at all.
Right.
But it was really
As
funny.
nearly as much as the NFL doesn't like Greg Williams.
Well, and back to that point.
piece
Steve
of
Smith.
garbage, that
Steve
dude is.
Smith was.
Come on, Jace, get your little girl on the show. She sounds like she wants on, buddy.
That's not me.
Yeah,
I think
she wants.
Is that Scott?
Oh, this
What's
girl?
that?
Whose baby is that? That's not mine.
Oh, I didn't know you guys could hear. That's my niece. She came.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Come on, bring her on. If she wants
Bring
to
her
be
on, Scott. Come on.
Yeah, she is.
Hey.
Hey.
Say hi.
Oh, wow.
Hi.
Go
Go
Chiefs.
Chiefs!
Go Chiefs, did she say? I thought she liked the Chiefs, not
That's
the
awesome.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
As
But
long as she
yeah, it
doesn't
was
like
really-
as long as she doesn't end up a Raiders or a Broncos fan, it'll be all
Right.
right.
It was really refreshing to hear Steve Smith just be as blunt as he was after
Wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah, like he was like, we all knew it. Steve Smith has been out of the game how long? And he still knew that then about Greg Williams. It's just it's really that should be more the discussion of what's going on with the Jets. It's just their coaches. And that's it, man. Like, it's just like, I don't know what more to say. Like, why does Gase still have a job? Why does Williams still have a job? I don't want anybody to be unemployed, right? But this is a results business, and this team is horrible. Like, in all
But
facets.
you know, if they fire Gase, you know who's in the background to take that job.
Greg Williams is
Just like
going to
he
be the
did in
interim coach.
Cleveland.
He's going to be the interim coach. He's going to win 4 or 5 games, and they'll bring him back. Yeah, like it's like a circle. Like the same thing with Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick comes in. He's the backup. That guy stinks. He takes his job. He goes crazy. He signs. Then he stinks. He becomes a backup. It's all a cycle. It's all a cycle. And that's the same thing that's going on right now. Guys, I got to jump off. I don't know if you guys are going to,
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah,
win.
we're just about to wrap it up, Jason. So, been a great show today, guys. Don't forget, if you want to hop on tomorrow, 6 o'clock UK time, join us for our live look-in show, whatever you want to call it. We'll let you know what we're doing. DM us on Twitter. We will get you on the show. You can rant. You can watch games. You can take the mickey out of me, Pete, whoever comes on. We want to see you guys on there. So please, please, please come and join us. Scott, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Been really good.
Thanks for having me again.
Jason.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, Scott. Nice to meet you, man.
Nick as well.
Take care.
Pete, Nick, I love you guys. And yeah, I'll hop on tomorrow if you guys want. I'll come on real quick.
Definitely.
Yeah, make sure you bring that £10, buddy.
Yeah, I got you. PayPal. DM me that PayPal so you could, and then I'll DM you mine so you could send it to me because I already know it's money in the bank.
I'm good for it. I'm
Me too.
I'm always getting rid of money.
Thank you to everyone that watched. We really appreciate all the comments that we get. This is the Shank Club NFL. We out of here. Peace.
Nick, I'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
Laters all.